Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is truly the most important video that I've put out to date. So please stay till the end. You won't be sorry that you did. I've been telling you about this for a while now, but I didn't know how close we were and how hard they are working in the background in order to accomplish this agenda. So let's go ahead and start. I'm going to go piece by piece with you all. I hope that this video gets a lot of traction, and I hope that you share it with someone that's maybe not awake. That way they can see what's coming and start to prepare for it. Breaking, this is off of Twitter and it's about 3 days old. The WEF confirms path to force traceability of online presence to digital ID. There can be no doubt that Australia's government is not sovereign. Australia is controlled by the UN, the WEF, and Agenda 2030. They have to have a digital ID in order to be able to enforce what they want to enforce upon humanity. And what is that? I'll tell you what, it's not good at all.
In our countries, no one can walk the streets with a mask on their face or drive a car without a license plate. No one can send packages without showing an ID or buy a hunting weapon without giving their name. And yet, we are allowing people to roam freely on social networks without linking their profiles to a real identity. This paving the way for misinformation, hate speech, and cyber harassment, because it is facilitating the use of bots and it is allowing people to act without being held accountable for their actions. Such an anomaly cannot continue. In a democracy, citizens have the right to privacy, not to anonymity or impunity, because with those two, social coexistence would be impossible. That is why I believe we must push forward the principle of pseudonymity as the functioning element of social media and force all these platforms to link every user account to an European digital identity wallet. This way, citizens could use nicknames if they want, but in the case of a crime, public authorities would be able to connect those nicknames to real people and hold them responsible. Because accountability is not an obstacle to freedom of speech. It is an essential complement to it.
And as you just heard, they're trying to make it out like they're doing a favor for humanity, when all they're doing is trying to capture you in what I would call a digital prison. The entire UN 2030 agenda rests on one cornerstone: your voluntary adoption to a digital ID. As Whitney Webb powerfully argued, they are investing billions to sell you on it with convenience. They'll pitch it as a solution to illegal immigration, to voter fraud, and cybercrime. That's what I've been telling you, ladies and gentlemen. They're going to tell you, hey, your life is going to be so much better if you have this, that I don't know why we haven't implemented this yet. Or they're going to make your life so miserable without it that you'll eventually opt in on their system.
Without it, the programmable surveillable money won't work. A lot of their designs for what they want to do in the online virtual world will not work. And so much of it will not work if we do not comply with digital ID, and they're trying to force it on us as a voluntary thing. Sort of in the same way that vaccine passports were voluntary. Which is why I encourage people, if you want to change the direction the world is going, you need to figure out how you are going to set up your life so you don't have to comply with digital ID the same way. Maybe if you were forced to comply with vaccine mandates and vaccine passports, how will you get around those type of restrictions when they try and impose, digital ID on people for various reasons? Now in the U.S., conservatives mainly are being pitched as this is a solution to illegal migration. This is a solution to voter fraud and all of this stuff. There's efforts to frame biometric digital ID as essential to solving cybercrime. and hacking and cyberbullying and any other normal of essentially any ill of society. They're just going to say digital ID is going to be the solution to that. And they're sales pitches. But ultimately, if we, the digital ID is essential to the whole idea of the social credit score and any of these other, Orwellian designs that, at least enough people I hope know by now, is part and parcel of this agenda. And I think, again, it comes up to people having to make a choice. And the way they do this is through, they try and get us to comply with this is through convenience. It's convenience to opt in. It's convenient to have a digital ID. It's convenient to have, money on your phone and have your whole life be based on your smartphone and all of this. It's convenient to vote once every 4 years for one of the two lesser evils. But really, it's the convenience that they're using to enslave us. And it's inconvenient to find ways to opt out of these systems and change your life so that you're more resilient and your life is actually sustainable for you and your family and your community. It's perhaps inconvenient to get off of the couch and off of the chair and go meet your neighbors physically and stop being on the online world so much and making real human connections and real human solutions.
And here, Jim Ferguson, which is the person that's attributed to putting out all of these tweets, says the UN chief demands censorship crackdown, and he demands it now. You'll hear. Antonio Guterres has called for tighter control of social media, claiming that false narratives threaten the UN's Agenda 2030 goals and global stability.
Misinformation, disinformation, and hate speech are fueling prejudice and violence, exacerbating divisions and conflicts, demonizing minorities, and compromising the integrity of elections. Threats to information integrity are not new, but they are proliferating and expanding with unprecedented speed on digital platforms and supercharged by AI technologies. Science, facts, human rights, public health, climate action are under attack. And when information integrity is targeted, so is democracy, which depends on a shared, fact-based perception of reality. False narratives, distortions, and lies breed cynicism, disbelief, and disengagement. They undermine social cohesion, putting the Sustainable Development Goals further out of reach. The United Nations' own operations and missions are compromised as our staff deal with a tsunami of falsehoods and absurd conspiracy theories. We demand action.
You heard it from his own mouth. He says, we demand action. Who is that demands action? A very, very small percentage of the global population. However, they want to take over the global population and be in control over them. The 2030 thing kind of like has swayed away a little bit from social media because there's so many other things going on in the world, especially here in the US. We've been facing the SNAP thing, the government shutdown, the people being furloughed, and then all of the other things that's going on with people getting poorer, just trying to survive, working 50, 60 hours a week to keep their heads above water, that we've kind of forgotten. It's a controlled chaos. They want to make it to where you cannot see what they're doing behind the curtains.
Lust to control other human beings is a story as old as time. There's a very strong drift in the direction of globalization, of the ultimate centralization of control in the hands of unelected officials at supranational organizations.
They want all of the resources of the world in their pocket.
The bigger picture is that an attempt is underway now to collapse liberal democracy and replace it with global technocracy.
This is a coup. They're saying we can control with rules. We don't need currency anymore.
It's like an inverted prison. You are supposedly free to roam about, but everything you want to access is behind lock and key.
The potential for social control is gigantic and potentially irreversible.
They plan to commandeer land, reduce farming, and radically change the food we eat. transform the supply of electricity, and then dictate how we use it, and replace currency with a system of credits. All three strategies are built on the premise of a climate crisis caused by carbon dioxide.
I do not think there's a climate crisis, and I base that on all the evidence and the climate data sets that we build to answer questions just like that. The government is very clear that they want a catastrophic story.
There is no single science paper that proves conclusively that humans control all or most of the global climate.
Europe's mad dash towards net zero is effectively economic suicide. Politicians are purposely impoverishing ordinary people, purposely deindustrializing Europe.
It's just tremendous amount of damage in the name of saving the planet. It does make you ask, what is it we're actually saving if we're paving it over?
I think what we're dealing with here is actually a global war on agriculture.
When you look at how many farms are selling up, we're walking into food shortages.
If I can switch everybody from real food to pharma food, then 100% of the agricultural industry can go through my publicly traded stocks, and I have complete control.
This is the biggest public relations scam in the history of the world. But it's far more than that. It's a blueprint. It is the action plan.
All life on Earth is going to be radically changed.
Everything will be monitored. The environmental consequences of every human action.
The general population cannot fathom the psychopathy of the vision that they're facing.
Once the digital ID is in place, it's game over for humanity.
And this is the publicly noted 2030 UN agenda. A one world government. End of nations. One world army. One world police force. End of the family unit. One world central bank. One world cashless currency. End of all private property. World depopulation and fertility control. End of home and car ownership. Mandatory multiple vaccines yearly. Universal austerity income, UBI. Social media digital ID. Before you get on the internet, you're going to have to use your digital ID to log on. Microchipped for health, shopping, and travel. Implementation of Chinese social credit system. Government-raised children. All businesses run by the state. End of non-essential air travel. I'm sure it'll be essential for them when they want to go on vacations, ladies and gentlemen. Humans concentrated into 15-minute zones. Remember that video I did not too long ago about 15-minute cities? Well, here it is. End of private farms and vegetable gardens. End of animal ownership. Ban on all natural medicines. Listen to that. Ban on all natural medicine. AI courts. An end of individual rights. Limited access to wild spaces. And the end of fossil fuels and modern conveniences. That's what they have in store for humanity. But I'm sure not for themselves. Not too sure what to say, ladies and gentlemen, but what I can say is this. Like Miss Whitney Webb said, we have to prepare ourselves to be able to opt out of their system. And the better prepared that we are with everything that you need, start slow and steady. Remember, it's Agenda 2030. They're not going to stop until they get there. If they have to change it to Agenda 2032, they will, etc., etc. Start now, preparing to have those things that you know you're going to need in order to stave off this takeover of humanity. All right, so thank you very much. I hope that you stayed through the entire video. I hope that you share this with someone that's maybe not awake to the way of the world. And it's very understandable. Don't be upset at people that are, for lack of better words, I'll say asleep. Because they're doing what they can in order to survive. They're working within a system where they are merely a cog and all they are is a number to the powers that be. So when you see all of these little stories pop up here and pop up there, because we only have like a 4 or 6 hour news cycle now with the way that social media is, make sure that you stay concentrated on staying prepared, getting as prepared as you possibly can be, meeting your neighbors. One of the very first things that I did when I moved here to my new apartment was I went to the neighbor to the right, the neighbor to the left. I knocked on the door and I said, hey, how are you doing? This is my name. I live here with my son upstairs, and I just wanted to introduce myself. And I've already got a cookout date when the snow breaks after this winter with one of our neighbors here to the side, because he likes to do a lot of smoking. But I digress on that. Meet your neighbors, build communities, keep on putting away things that you know you're going to need in the future. Once you have an ample supply of the things that you need, rotate through them. Keep rotating through them and keep stocking up. Keep filling in the gaps, ladies and gentlemen. That way, when the time comes, you'll know what you have and how long you can hold out. Because, for example, let's say that you have a year's, and we'll use food because I love food. Let's say you have a year's supply of food, right? And you have to start trying to resist whatever it is that they're trying to push us into. It doesn't mean that you only have a year's of sustenance. It means that you have a year's supply of food, and you can use that year's supply to implement whatever you can get at the now. All right, so if you have a year's supply of food put away, you have much more than a year's supply of food. Anyways, I hope that made sense. I want to thank every one of you for supporting what I do. I really do appreciate you being here. And man, I really hope that this video goes out to as many people as will bother to watch it, I guess. God bless every one of you. I love you all. God bless America. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.